Okay, Mike Huckabee isn't running for president. We're joined by independent pollster and political analyst Scott Rasmussen. Welcome again, Scott.
Great to be with you, Ashley.
Which of the announced or potential Republican presidential candidates stands to benefit most by Huckabee's decision not to run?
You know, my sense of things is that Mike Huckabee's decision probably opens the door for one of the dark horse candidates. Our latest polling on the race showed Trump, Huckabee, Palin getting 43% of the vote. Nobody really expects Donald Trump to run. If Sarah Palin doesn't, you'll end up with a majority of voters who don't have a first preference. And you'll also end up with Mitt Romney and Tim Pawlenty, perhaps Governor Daniels as establishment-approved candidates. And voters are unhappy with the Republican leadership in Washington, so they'll look for something different.
How about Herman Cain or Michelle Bachmann? Might they be a little bit stronger now if they decide to run?
You know, we did a poll of the dark horse candidates, and Michelle Bachmann came up on top. Herman Cain did pretty well, picked up 9% of the vote. And the potential is there for one of them to begin to make a move. But it's not just because Mike Huckabee dropped out that their numbers will move in the polls. It's going to require somebody going to Iowa, going to New Hampshire, and walking into a living room and making a connection with voters. That's what Mike Huckabee did 4 years ago when he came from nowhere to win the Iowa caucuses.
Now you have Newt Gingrich out there saying he supports the most controversial provision of Obamacare, the individual mandate. You also have Mitt Romney defending the Massachusetts health care law he signed. Does this at all change the dynamics of Republican opposition to Obamacare?
You know, I don't think so. Most voters nationwide still want to see that law repealed. They think it will increase the deficit. They think it will increase the cost of care while hurting the quality of care. Republicans overwhelmingly hold those views. And what I think actually happened is Mitt Romney and Newt Gingrich probably hurt themselves in the presidential running. Gingrich is a very long shot to begin with. Mitt Romney has always been the front runner, kind of like Rudy Giuliani was the front runner 4 years ago, but people are aware that he's a vulnerable front runner.
Does Gingrich's announcement supporting the mandatory purchase of health insurance and renouncing the House Republican plan for Medicare as right-wing social engineering pretty much take him out of the running among conservatives?
Well, the first part, supporting the mandate, certainly does. In terms of challenging Paul Ryan's plan and the House Republican plan, there are a lot of Republican voters that are squeamish about that plan, so it's not as disqualifying. But sure, he's not looking like a team player. He's challenging them just as they're trying to reintroduce this topic. Don't quite know what Speaker Gingrich was doing with this one. Mitt Romney, you have an understanding of why he was trying to play it the way he did, but for Speaker Gingrich, not sure what he gains from yesterday's comments.
There's been concern that there's no clear-cut Republican leader at this point, and a recent New York Times CBS poll finds most Republican voters unenthusiastic about any of the likely candidates. Now, if that poll is accurate, is this type of apathy normal at this stage of a presidential campaign?
Absolutely. We're doing so much polling early on before the race is even formed. There is plenty of time for new people to jump into the race. It wouldn't surprise me if a governor entered the race somewhere around Thanksgiving or maybe even Christmas. There would still be time for them to win the nomination. Scott Brown has proven to everybody how quickly you can raise money if you can connect with base voters. The process itself is so open at the moment that I'm not at all confident that the ultimate nominee is there. Now, in terms of the enthusiasm and the apathy issue, Republicans will not have a passion problem this year, almost regardless of the candidate. And the reason for that is Barack Obama will supply the passion for Republicans, just like George Bush supplied passion for the Democrats the last time around.
The latest Rasmussen Consumer Index shows only 9% of consumers rating the economy as good or excellent, while 54% say it's poor. Now, if you go by the Democrat campaign mantra, it's the economy, stupid. How does this look for the Obama presidency?
Well, it's a very big challenge. Those numbers haven't changed much in the last few years. The number that I will be most concerned about at the Obama campaign is the ratings of personal finances. In the fall of 2008, just before Lehman Brothers collapsed, 43% of Americans rated their finances in good shape. When President Obama took office, that had already fallen to 35%. Today, more than 2 years later, it's down to 30%. If people don't start feeling better about their finances, it's very difficult for the president's reelection campaign. And you just hit on the key point. Where is the economy going to be in October 2012? If the economy is really humming along and jobs are being created and people are feeling good about their own finances, this president will be hard to defeat. If the economy goes into a double-dip recession, it will be hard for a Republican to lose. And if we muddle along where we are today, it's going to be a close election. Things like the housing market and personal financial concerns are likely to drive the debate.
Obama got a bit of a poll bounce out of the bin Laden takeout, but it wasn't much and it didn't last long. What's the story behind the story here?
Well, he did get a bounce, and by the way, you have to give him credit. 86% of Americans approve of the decision to approve that mission. They were happy with the result. But again, we're talking about a nation that is focused mostly on the economy. Only 6% of voters nationwide say national security issues are number one right now. This was a single decision on a national security matter. The president right now getting good reviews for his handling of national security, but only 34% think he's doing a good job on the economy.
RNC Chairman Rinks Priebus says Republicans have done a lousy job reaching out to Hispanic voters. How potentially big of a problem is this for the party?
It's a big problem, especially as you look longer term and in several critical states throughout the Southwest. The reason it's a problem has less to do with policy issues than with the tone. There are some people in the Republican Party or who have run as Republicans who take a very harsh attitude towards illegal immigrants rather than looking at the overall problem and turning their anger towards the government policies. Most people, for example, say, you know, it's okay to raid places where illegal immigrants are looking for jobs, but don't just focus on the immigrants, focus on the people who are doing the hiring, people that are encouraging this kind of activity. And until that is resolved, you know, we're going to continue to have this problem. The other issue, very, very important to highlight, Americans, a majority of them say they want a welcoming policy of legal immigration. And Republicans are more supportive of that policy than Democrats.
One of the best in the business, independent pollster Scott Rasmussen. As always, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.